For this test, I'm doing what you should never do. I'm using some of the latest military small arms ammunition along with a relic from World War II. We're engaging our C Zone Steel Target plates to try to find out how they stack up. I'm using M855A1, M80A1, and 30 caliber M2. Downrange, we have a 3/8 inch AR500 Genesis C Zone, a 3/8 inch AR550, and 1/2 inch AR550 Exodus C Zone plates. I think this will paint the picture of why I say not all steel targets are created equal. Please remember while you're watching this, don't do this at home. If you replicate what I'm doing, it is extremely dangerous. I'm doing this simply for testing purposes and for your education. I'm doing it so you don't have to. I'm down at 100 yards, fully prepped, ready to engage each of the target systems. For the purposes of science, I'm gonna follow the same formula for each plate and system. The C zones are all set to the same forward lean angle as each other to level the playing field and showcase how the different steel is gonna react to each round. That's enough talking though, let's send it. My objective of this video was to showcase a few different things for you guys. First was that not all steel targets are created the same, and this is true even in our own lineup. Second, not all steel targets are safe. The third is unsafe steel targets can be deadly and are extremely dangerous. For this reason, you must purchase from a reputable manufacturer who uses quality steel. Number four, you can rest assured that any system that you purchase from us is engineered for excellence. The question now is, what did this test show? And originally I was gonna start off on the Genesis plate, but I'm actually gonna start off on the 1/2 inch C Zone in our Exodus line of targets first. And I wanna talk about that one, and then I'll work my way backwards to the Genesis C Zone plate. Now, I've done this test before on our 1/2 inch C Zone, so I did know what to expect. However, I've never shot the M80A1 ammunition ever. I've never even put my hands on it before, but I ordered some, got it, and it was about 12 bucks around, super expensive ammunition. But I wanted to see how that stacked up against the M2 ammunition, which is a World War II sort of armor defeating round. When we fired the M855A1, very little damage on that plate. Again, I've seen that before. We've done the M855A1 before. The M2 ammunition does more damage than the M855A1. Still no pass-throughs on the 1/2 inch AR550 C Zone. When we got to the M80A1, I was super excited because, again, I'd never done this on our steel, so I did not know what to expect. However, my guess was that there was going to be less damage than the M2, and that did prove to be true. And I think that that's just attributed to the amount of steel that's in each of those rounds. There's simply more of it inside of the M2 round. So the C Zone 1/2 inch, no pass-throughs, nothing even close to passing through, and you can see that from the B-roll. Again, not shocked by that, I've done that before. Looking at the 3/8 inch AR550 C Zone, very similar results to the 1/2 inch AR550 C Zone. Zero pass-throughs from any of the ammunition. It looks virtually identical to the 1/2 inch AR550 steel, and that's one of those crazy things that I think most people don't realize. Yes, the 1/2 inch is incredibly strong. It is a little bit stronger than the 3/8 AR550. However, that 3/8 inch AR550 is that same Swedish armor that we use in the 1/2 inch. It's just a thinner plate. Again, with the M80A1, no pass-throughs, not even close, just a little chip on the plate. The M2 did not do any damage either on that. I had never shot the 3/8 AR550 C Zone with M2. I did not know what to expect, but it did exactly what I wanted to show you guys. The 3/8 inch AR550 and the 3/8 inch AR500 is radically different material. Just because they're the same thickness and one has an extra 5 in the number does not mean they're the same. And that's the trap that people fall into when they're buying steel targets. And it is so freaking critical that you guys understand that not all steel targets are created the same. And how do I know that? Let's check out the Genesis C Zone plate. That one took a beating, and it had some pass-throughs. The M2 ammunition blitzed right through it like butter. And as you look at the footage, you can see that there are clean holes just right through the center of that plate. Again, compare that to the 3/8 inch AR550 and notice the difference. Same exact thickness. And so many people would be like, well, what the heck? It's only a 50-point Brinell hardness plate difference between the two. It's not about that. It is about the chemical makeup, the procedure and the processes of the steel for the AR550 is so much better than the AR500. That doesn't mean that the Genesis is a bad plate, but it's one of our budget entry systems for newer shooters and people that are lower volume and shoot at further distances. But that showcases the difference between the two target systems. Now, the one thing that I didn't show you guys is I actually have a 4th C Zone over here. And this whole entire test, I tested the C Zones at a vertical angle. They had no forward lean on them. I now took one of our C Zones that we shot on a previous test with the M2 and the M855A1. I stuck it at about 45 degrees of forward lean, and we are just going to absolutely hammer this thing because more forward lean will also make your target system last a lot longer and be able to stand up to even more abuse. So how about we just go down range and we let the physics do the talking for us. So what you can see here is that the rounds caused even less damage when the plate was at a steeper lean angle. This is just physics in action. The steeper the steel plate, the more it can move, and the stronger the steel used in the target, the less damage will be caused. The ADAP top bracket was designed specifically to offer these advantages, and our adjustable angles allow for the tuning of your systems to make sure that they last as long as possible on your range. This is why we can count on a single hand in a year how many 1/2 inch AR550 warranty claims we have. It is such a rare occurrence because of our engineering and the commitment to only using the best raw materials that money can buy. The Exodus lineup is our premium line for a reason. Does that mean that the Genesis line should be ignored? Absolutely not. You should consider it. You just need to understand its limitations and the intended application of the Genesis systems. I hope that one thing is now abundantly clear. We set the standard for what steel targets should be and how they should perform. For those wondering if the price difference between the Exodus or Genesis is worth it, and those thinking that we're just running the same steel and just marking up the Exodus line, we'd tell you to just look at the results of the plates. What we're doing is offering several different lines of targets that are tailored for your specific needs. We've obsessed over what makes a quality target system for a decade, and in that time we have proven that we manufacture the most badass targets on the market. But we know that the price points of the AR550 systems are high and are outside of the realm of what some folks can spend on their training. And it's for that reason that we decided to release the Genesis line, which is more of an entry-level, budget-friendly steel target system. If you haven't guessed it, we are expanding our market share to encompass all walks of steel targets and training tools. So whether you shoot 100 rounds per year or 100,000 rounds per year, we have a system that is going to perform to exacting standards safely, shot after shot. If you want to bang steel on a budget, or you're just getting started on your journey with firearms, the Genesis line is probably the one for you. If you're shooting thousands and thousands of rounds per year, shoot rifles closer than 100 yards, and only want the best of the best steel target systems that are designed to last, no joke, your entire life, the Exodus line is for you. The Genesis is for your beginning and the Exodus is for your mastery. They're different. The steel that we use is different, but they are both safe and designed for purposeful training. You can find all of these systems on our website, tatargets.com.